Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu. So today is the last day of the retreat, and tomorrow morning after breakfast you will be free. So tomorrow morning we will be giving you 6 precepts. Okay, the 5 are the precepts which are normally everybody knows. Do not kill, do not steal, do not have sexual misconduct, do not use wrong speech. Wrong speech has 4 parts in it. Do not lie, do not have divisive speech, do not have harsh speech, and do not have idle chatter. So those are the parts. And then do not use intoxicants. So any kind of substance you should not use which can intoxicate you. But that does not mean that if those intoxicants are there in medicine, you avoid that. Say like there is a cough medicine, it has alcohol. You can have alcohol because that alcohol's purpose is not to intoxicate you, but to kind of relax your muscles. Say if there is a cake, rum cake. So what they do is they put rum in the cake and then they bake it, and the rum vanishes and there is taste of the rum. So that is okay. But say if you are having rum chocolates, then you can get intoxicated with the rum chocolates. So you have to be kind of careful, skillful in what you are choosing. So it is not a kind of a blind thing you have to follow, but you have to use your wisdom while following the precepts also. And you can refine your precepts also by understanding how these precepts are working and making it more and more a part of your life. So first thing I am going to talk about is the dana practice. And the practice of dana is one of the main pillars of the Buddha's practice. So one of the things when people ask, they ask a lot of questions about how this kind of affects, what is the mind state one has to be there, and what kind of benefits you can get from the giving the dana. So this is Sariputta is approached by a group from a village, and they say they want to hear the talk of the Buddha. So Sariputta invites them, takes and then asks the question. So they can benefit, the villagers can benefit from Buddha's this thing. So the Sariputta asks the question, could it be the case, Bhante, that a gift given by someone here is not of great fruit and benefit? And could it be the case that a gift given by someone here is of great fruit and benefit? So what he is asking is that if one gives a gift, it can have a very good benefit, and one if it gives a gift, it may not have that much benefit. So is that possible? The gift is the same. But is there a possible in that? It could be the case, Sariputta, that a gift given by someone here is not of great fruit and benefit. And it could be the case that a gift given by someone here is of great fruit and benefit. Bhante, why is that one gift is not of great fruit and benefit while the other is? Here, Sariputta, someone gives a gift with expectations, with a bound mind, looking for rewards. He gives a gift thinking, having passed away, I will make use of this. He gives that gift to an ascetic or a Brahmin, food and drink, clothing, vehicles, garlands, scents, ointments, I don't know what that is, bedding, dwelling, lighting. What do you think, Sariputta? Might someone give such a gift? Yes, Bhante. In that case, Sariputta, he gives a gift with expectations, with a bound mind, looking for rewards. He gives a gift thinking, having passed away, I will make use of this. Having given such a gift with the breakup of the body after death, he is reborn in companionship with the Devas, ruled by the 4 great kings, Chatu, Maharachika Deva. So they will be reborn in that Deva realm. Having exhausted that kamma, psychic potency, glory and authority, he comes back and returns to this state of being. That is also a good thing. to be returning back to a human birth is also good thing. If you are born in a Devaloka, you will be reborn as a human, and you will be reborn in a good household. So one thing is, this is considered to be the lowest reward you are getting. But this lowest reward is also very high reward. Why? Because if a person has to compare the joy and the enjoyment one feels in the Devaloka and the human existence, Buddha kind of gives a kind of a simile. He says it's very hard to give a simile, but I will try. So he says that if you are born as a world-conquering king, and world-conquering king means that he conquers the whole world without having a fight, without having to kill anybody. So he lives by the Dhamma and rules by the Dhamma, and without harming or passing any sentence of hurt to people or killing people. He never passes a sentence to kill anybody or hurt anybody. So he has a lot of wealth, and everything he needs he has, and he has the best life possible for a human being. If that is compared to a rock, a small rock, then the pleasure and the enjoyment one can feel in the Devalokas is as big as the Mount Everest. And that is the comparison he has given. So even for somebody to be born in a Devaloka is a very rare thing. Once the Buddha says that if this beach of sand is full of sand, but if you consider all of this as the people in the world, then only a handful of them, the handful in my hand, the sand in my hand, will go to the heavens. So to be in heaven is also very great thing. So even if a person gives it a mind of bound of the results, even in that case he gets something which is very rare, and he gets something which is very precious. So that is the first kind of a way of giving. That is the mindset. Now he says that someone gives a gift thinking giving is good. So he gives a gift thinking that the process of giving is good, that is the reason I am giving. Then the next stage is he gives a gift thinking giving was practiced before my father and forefathers. I should not abandon this ancient family custom. So then he gives the gift because his parents were giving and his grandparents were giving. So he also gives. So that is also that he is not letting the traditions die. So that is also a next level. Next level is he gives a gift thinking I cook. These people do not cook. It isn't right that I who cook should not give to those who do not cook. Who do not cook is the monks. Monks do not cook. So they, if there is a kind of a feeling which is there of kind of compassion towards the monk, and with that feeling of compassion, somebody gives gifts. So that is a higher gift. Then the next category is he gives a gift thinking just as the seers of old age, that is Athaka, Vamaka, Vamadeva, Vesamitta, Yamatagi, Angi Rasa, Bharadwaja, Vasita, Kassapa and Bhagu held these great sacrifices, so I will share a gift. So he thinks that the past rishis of the India, the great sacrifices they have made, in that same line I will also make a sacrifice. In this mind state the person gives a gift. Then he gives a gift thinking, when I am giving a gift, my mind becomes placid and elation and joy arise. So he gives a gift thinking that when you give the gift, I feel the mental joy. So he has the awareness of the mental joy, he has the awareness of the goodness of giving the gift. Now the last category which the Buddha kind of points out is he gives a gift thinking it's an ornament of the mind, an accessory of the mind. So he gives a gift to actually develop his mind, saying that by giving the gift my mind will get developed. It's an ornament of the mind. So it's a kind of a nice adornment for the mind. And he gives a gift saying that it is an accessory of the mind, means that it will assist the mind. So what will it assist in? Being renouncing. The feeling of renouncing, the feeling of giving up. So that is the thing. It is also we have attachment to things. When we have attachment to things, we cannot give. But when we are understanding the attachments and then we are giving up our attachments and giving, that is an accessory to the mind. He gives that gift to an ascetic or a Brahmin, food, drink, etc. What do you think, Sariputta? Might someone give such a gift? Yes, Bante. In that case, Sariputta, he does not give a gift with expectations. So he goes through all the list of expectations. Having given such a gift with the breakup of the body, after death, he is reborn in companionship with the Devas of Brahma's company. Having exhausted that karma, psychic potency, glory, authority, he does not come back and return to this state of being. This, Sariputta, is the reason why a gift given by someone here is not of great fruit and benefit, and this is the reason why a gift given by someone here is of great fruit and benefit. So what he is saying is he will be reborn in the non-return realm. So he will become an anagami just by giving in a correct fashion. By thinking that it is the ornament of the mind, it is the accessory of the mind. By this mind state he gives, and then that kind of leads him to the state of anagami, and then from that anagami state he is released. So this is the kind of sutta which is given for the dana. So there is one other sutta I'll take which is for how to behave in life. Okay. So this is a dana shila bhavana. So we have talked about dana. Now this is also about keeping your precepts and also about how you behave in life. Okay. So how do you behave in life in situations? So many people ask, and how do you take this practice and take it in life? So this gives a kind of an indication of how the Buddha expects us to behave. So, students, there are these 5 courses of speech that others may use when they address you. So, when somebody addresses you, there are 5 types of speech they can use. Their speech may be timely or untimely. Timely speech means they look for the time you are free and tell, or sometimes people don't, you are on a phone or something like that and somebody comes and starts talking to you. So, it may be untimely. True or untrue. So somebody may say a truth to you or a lie to you. Gentle or harsh. He may be kind of gentle with you or use harsh words. Connected with good or with harm. So it is for your good, somebody may say, or somebody may say to harm you. Spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hate. So somebody may kind of speak to you with metta or may speak to you with aversion or hate. When others address you, their speech may be timely or untimely. When others address you, their speech may be true or untrue. When others address you, their speech may be gentle or harsh. When others address you, their speech may be connected with good or with harm. When others address you, their speech may be spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hate. Herein, students, you should train thus. So now this is your instructions. You should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hate. We shall abide pervading that person with a mind imbued with loving kindness, and starting with him, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind similar to a cat-skin bag, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how you should train students. So what is he saying? Cat skin bag is given as an example that it does not rustle, it does not kind of tear, it does not make noises. So that is the kind of qualities of the cat skin bag. So that is the reason the example has been given of the cat skin bag. Students, even if bandits were to sever your students, even if bandits were to sever you savagely, limb by limb, with a two-handed saw, he who gave rise to a mind of hate towards them would not be carrying out my teaching. So just imagine the case that somebody is kind of with a saw cutting up your arm, but still the Buddha kind of says that you should not have a mind of hate towards that person. Our minds will remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hate. We shall abide pervading them with a mind imbued with loving kindness. And starting with them, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how you should train. Students, if you keep this advice of the simile of the saw constantly in mind, do you see any course of speech, trivial or gross, that you could not endure? No, Venerable Sir. Therefore, students, you should keep this advice on the simile of the saw constantly in mind. That will lead to your welfare and happiness for a long time. That is what the Blessed One said. The students were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's word. So, the Buddha is saying that whatever the person may say to you, you should respond with loving kindness. You should respond with a balanced mind. And how does the balanced mind come? By knowing how your mind's attention is moving, how the anger is coming, knowing how to use the 6 R's in a correct manner. When your mind is coming with anger, then you recognize, release, relax, and come back to the feeling of metta and share this feeling of metta with the person who is there in front of you. Okay, and he may be whatever the person may speak. You can give metta to all people who are with you or you are interacting with. So one of the principles somebody told us is that the person you speak to is the most important person in the world. So if you are speaking to anybody, you should treat the person as he is the most important person in the world. That is what the Buddha is also saying, that you should treat him as the center of the sending of metta. So when you are speaking with somebody angry, also you can just send them metta. One example Bhante gives is of a person who had gone after a retreat to office. Okay, and the other person, his colleague, was a very kind of angry person, and he kind of came and kind of started shouting at him and kind of telling without mindlessly he was kind of abusing that person. But he remembered that he can just send metta to this person. Okay, so then he was just sending metta to the person and listening to what he was saying. And then what happened was he kind of lost the chain of thought. Okay, and then just turned back and went away, because the reaction which he was looking for. Because an angry person is looking for some kind of a feedback, some kind of a nutriment for his anger also. And the anger also needs some kind of a feedback to feed. So when he did not get, he was actually confused at what was happening. And he lost his change of thought and just moved away from him. And he said that was the most kind of a strangest experience he had, because he was just sending him metta, and that actually did not escalate. Or normally he would also have shouted at him, and that would be his fuel for more anger to come. But when he took away the fuel from that person, angry person, then that did not escalate. That kind of slowly went away. So in this same way, whenever somebody kind of speaks to you harshly, or they don't kind of speak the truth to you, or somebody speaks to you in a way that you are getting angry, then you have to remember this simile of the saw. And this simile of the saw is one of the similes which have been used in many of the suttas. So where the other monks also kind of mention that you should remember the simile of the saw, that what the Buddha has told. So this is a kind of a example, which is kind of an extreme example given by the Buddha, just to keep in context, and keep in context that how if a person who has his limbs being cut off is also not allowed by the Buddha, then what is mere words, somebody speaks. They are just words, they have come out of his mouth and they will go into the ether. It has no meaning. Only we give meaning by giving a reaction to the words. Okay? So if somebody kind of says a four-letter word to you, then we kind of react, and that happens to be the fuel for the person who has actually said that. But if you just look at him and just walk away, then nothing happens. So this can be used in life, and there is one other way of using the practice which we have learned, the Brahma Vihara practice which we have learned. There is one way of bringing that practice to life also. In the Rahulovada Sutta, the Buddha is giving the kind of advice to Rahula. This is Majjhima Nikaya 62. This simile of the saw is Majjhima Nikaya 21.
Kakacūpamasutta.
Huh?
This simile of the saw is...
Simile of the saw, Kakacūpamasutta. Then this is the Rahulovada Sutta 62, Majjhima Nikaya 62. So now he is advising Rahula, okay? So Rahula, develop meditation on loving kindness. For when you develop meditation on loving kindness, any ill will be abandoned. So what the Buddha is saying, that when you have ill will, you can put your mind on loving kindness. So it will kind of take care of your ill will. So you don't put your attention on the things you don't want. You don't say, I don't want ill will. You say, I will put my attention on metta. I will put my attention on loving kindness. So that way your ill will is balanced. Now you are using a way of balancing your mind. So if your mind is towards ill will, then you put your attention to metta and you increase your metta. Rahula, develop meditation on compassion. For when you develop meditation on compassion, any cruelty will be abandoned. So if you have thoughts of cruelty, or your mind is of that those people should suffer or something like that, that mind comes up, then what you should do is you should bring up the feeling of compassion, okay, and put your attention on the feeling of compassion. Don't try to fight the feeling of cruelty, but put your your attention on the feeling of compassion and let your compassion develop. Then this would automatically subside. So you are not fighting with cruelty, feeling of cruelty or ill will, but you are using metta and karuna to balance your mind. So in that way you can balance your mind. Rahula, develop meditation on altruistic joy. For when you develop a meditation of altruistic joy, any discontent will be abandoned. So discontent is what? That I don't have this, he has that. So you develop the joy for that person. That I am happy for this person, let him have. So what you don't have, you are not discontent anymore. So you abandon the discontent by developing the altruistic joy. That is mudita. You develop your mudita and then that would kind of balance of your mind. Rahula, develop meditation on equanimity. For when you develop meditation on equanimity, any aversion is abandoned. So if you have aversion, okay, to anything, then you can put your mind in a state of equanimity. You put your attention on equanimity. So anything which you are doing, over here that mindfulness has also a sati, which is called. Mindfulness has, it has is a memory. So you take from your memory the feeling of equanimity you have experienced in the meditation, put your attention on that and develop that. So your aversion to certain things are there, then it will be subsided. So your aversions to subside, you will use the balance of equanimity. So in this way you are using this practice to balance. Rahula, develop meditation on foulness. For when you develop meditation of foulness, any lust will be abandoned. So that is for some people who have any kind of issues with lust, then you can just bring up a foul this thing. Like one of the main things our monks used to tell in Vatpananachat is, just imagine the person without the skin, and the skin is there on the side. So, and say that if this person was there in front of me, would I be attracted to the person if there was no skin? And was I just attracted to the skin? So, would I even touch the skin? If a person's skin is taken out and put it in a heap, would anybody even touch that skin? No, it is not possible. So that is that is called the foulness. So one kind of uses it to balance, but don't overdo it. Then you kind of unbalance yourself. So you have to use it to balance yourself. If there is too much lust, then you bring the foulness to just balance that. Your emotions. Rahula, develop meditation on foulness. Then it is Rahula, develop meditation on the perception of impermanence. For when you develop a meditation on perception of impermanence, the conceit I am will be abandoned. So, as I told you, the impermanence also has impersonality and dukkha. Those both concepts are also there. So, you can develop your perception on impermanence. You can develop your perception on dukkha, you can develop your perception on impersonality. Any of the three which you develop and put your perception on that, that will kind of help you to get rid of this conceit I am. And because of I am, all the problems come. One experiment I kind of use many times, some people must have heard this, is about in a college. They went and had a small 5-minute exam. You had to give 5-minute exam, and they would give you a chocolate or a mug, like say maybe a mug like this or a mug like that or something like that. They will give you a mug. The chocolate is of $5. The mug is of $5. So there is no economic benefit in any of them. So after the exam, they say choose your chocolate, choose your mug, and take. So then they calculated 50%. Around wanted mug, 50% wanted chocolate. So we said, okay, it is $5. Some people want chocolate, some people need mugs. So then they had another exam. They were a random people called up, and they were given mugs. Everybody was given a mug and say, sit with this mug, give this 5 minutes exam, and you can take this mug away. After the 5 minutes, they said, see, this mug was of $5. We have this stack of chocolates over here. This chocolate is also of $5. You can take the chocolate and keep the mug and go. So that time they found that over 80% of the people kept their mugs. They did not exchange. But initially they had already established that 50% had wanted chocolate, 50% had mug. So then they said that, okay, we will do another experiment. They did another experiment. Everybody was given a chocolate first. And they were sitting with a chocolate bar like this on the side. They gave a 5-minute exam. Then they brought in all the mugs and they said, before going, if you want, this is chocolate is $5. Mug is $5. You want, you can exchange and go. 80% of them kept the chocolate. So now they concluded that just by having this thing which they did not own for 5 minutes, it became mine. What is mine, I cannot give up. So think about the thoughts which are popping up in your mind. How difficult it is to give that up, because they become too much of me. And then if there is a thought of anger, I become angry. I am angry. You can say there are thoughts of anger in me. But you say, I am angry. If you have thoughts of sadness, I am sad. So this conceit, I am, should go. And that is how you will get more control over your life. So that is how 6 hours works, by giving you the understanding of impermanence, giving you the understanding of dukkha, giving you the understanding of impersonality. And by that, you kind of develop your mind. And you can take this practice and take it in your daily life. Bante kind of advises, do it in the morning. If you want to do it regularly, do it in the morning. Even if you had to wake up half an hour early and sit for half an hour, That would kind of compensate for the half an hour sleep, and also will give you a kind of understanding of this. And then take it in your life. Whatever you do it with a loving kindness. You can do it with, at least with a smile, you can do it. If the smile is not that, you recognize, release, relax and smile, and then be with whatever you are doing. If you are working on a computer, you can work with a smile. You are talking to somebody, you can talk with a smile. You are commuting, you can commute with a smile. So anything you want to do, you can do with a smile, and whenever your mind goes away and goes into unwholesome thoughts, we are generally thinking this worthless thoughts. This and that, what happened in the past, what will happen, what will I do, all those things you are thinking. You can just put your mind on the wholesome and take your mind out of the unwholesome. One way you can do and ensure that you are doing half an hour sit is, if somebody is going to office, they can wake up half an hour early, do their morning whatever routine is there, going to the bathroom, making a breakfast, having a breakfast, getting ready for the office. Get ready for office half an hour early. Wear your boots and everything. Sit for half an hour with a timer. When the half an hour is over, you can get up and continue this meditation as you are going and commuting. Okay? So this way you can ensure that you are doing it every day. And one of the Bhante students is a bureaucrat in Russia. He used to wake up 3 hours earlier than normal. He used to get up normally at 8, so he got up at 5. He got up at 5 and sat for 3 hours. And then he had his normal routine. Then he used to go to work and come back in the evening, have meal with the family. He had a rule that everybody should be there with the family, and then he would spend time with his kids also. And at 10 o'clock he would go to sleep. He used to not watch any movies, TV, plays, anything like that. He was quite advanced, and he would go to sleep early and get up early and then sit for 3 hours. So if you are committed, if you know its benefit, then this can kind of really help you. Goenkaji was to talk about one bureaucrat in Burma. I think old students kind of may remember that, who would be kind of very successful in his job because he was a Vipassana student. Huh? Somebody knows about that? Sayaji Ugagin, his teacher. So he was given a lot of responsibility after he was performing well. So, in this way, if you are able to kind of put in the effort in the practice pays you back manifold. Okay, not just in merit. One of the suttas, the Buddha says that if you do even 1 minute of metta in the proper manner, you get merit more than a yagna. Ashwamedha yagna. If you do, you'll get more merit than that. So that is the kind of return you can get in merit. But you should not even think of merit. You should think about your mind's development. You should think about how your life will be better. So it will be immediate effect is that your life will be more smoother. And then the long-term benefit is that you will have more understanding. And when you are developing understanding, then you are released from all the dukkha. Dukkha you are creating yourself, and the dukkha which is coming from the past. Those two things you can let go of. If it comes as a hindrance, you can recognize the hindrance and release it, relax, re-smile and return back to whatever you are doing. So in this way you can take this practice in your daily life, and that will kind of help you a lot in your life. So I'll just look at this. There are some questions over here. We'll go through this. What is the difference between the brain and the mind? It is very interesting, but one of the suttas I remember is Buddha was asked where is the mind? So is it in the body? The Buddha says you cannot say that. Is it outside the body? You cannot say that. Is it in the body and outside the body? You cannot say that. Is it neither in the body nor in the mind, neither outside? No, we cannot say that. So we cannot say something definite about the mind. But there is a mind, and we can have the functionality of the mind. So we can know our mind, but we cannot say where the place is. Brain is just an organ where certain activities happen. The interesting part is that once Ajahn Brahm kind of mentioned, he's from a science background. So he was, I think, from Oxford University, he has done a science degree. And he was a teacher also in Oxford. So once he said that, recently, a few years back, he said that he found a case study of a person who did not have a brain. He was a dull student, he was not a bright student. He was average student kind of a thing. Then they found out there some thing happened and he was not well, and they took him for the CT scan. When they did the CT scan, he had no brain. The whole thing was filled with liquid. And at the end of this cerebral, there was some small part which was there, but he did not have a kind of normal looking brain. And he was surviving the whole thing he was doing in school, and he was going along in life, and nobody was noticing it. So then Ajahn Brahm said that brain is not important and all these things, but for all our, we know that it is maybe taking it to one extreme, but one way of understanding is that the mind is one thing and the brain is another. It's just an organ, but maybe that organ is helping us in the functions. Like a hand helps us in the function, and eyes helps us in a function. You know, there is chakru is there, but then you can have a mechanical eye also, and then also you can see. So maybe something like that may be a case, but I don't go too much into that.
We should not assume we have mind.
We should assume we have mind, but we should not assume we have brains. So somebody says, you don't have brains, so I say, I don't mind, I have mind. Yeah, mind.
I was let you know that you just walked out right when it was all about brain stuff. I'm like, Jesus, I have too many opinions. Are you familiar with what he shared?
Well, I mean, I could share an opinion on this if you'd like.
About the no brain?
Yeah, I mean, so like, these are two different vantage points is the way that I see it. Like, there's the objective and the subjective. And the brain is objective, like material that can be measured. And that's one vantage point, like that's science. And then there's the subjective, which is the mind, which is like experience. And those, you can't like, it's two different ways of kind of two different vantage points on the world. And so when you try to talk about them in the same, when you try to relate one to the other and say like the mind is in the brain and the brain is generating the mind, you can't prove that one way or another. It's impossible to prove because it's like two different worlds, and never the twain shall meet.
No, I think you missed what I gave an example of Ajahn Brahm. So Ajahn Brahm kind of found a person in a case study that did not have a brain. He had this whole, this thing was filled with liquid. Somebody went to a doctor and they had a CT scan, and it was, I think, in a journal or something like that, but I did not pay much attention to that. But Ajahn Brahm kind of made it a point saying that this proves that brain and mind has nothing to do with each other. So.
Yeah.
So something like that. So.
Have you ever heard of that person with no brain?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. One thing that, it's a point I was going to make about on this topic as well, where like even if our brain was located in our toe, and we would still feel like we would still feel like there's an eye like somewhere up here behind the eyes. we don't feel like we're up here because thoughts are located up here. We feel like we're here because this is where all of our sense organs are. So it's because our eyes and our ears and our nose and our tongue are up here, but we're not thinking in our head. Like thoughts aren't located anywhere, which is kind of tricky because then you realize that everything is just an appearance in the mind, including our sensation of having a head. Like the head is appearing in the mind somewhere as a bundle of sensations.
But it's like in the traditional Chinese medicine, that emotions are not felt in the brain, they're felt in your gut, they're felt in your heart, they're felt in your body, basically. So, like, we have come with this idea that everything is just happening in the brain, but it's not. There's normal research that's being done that proving that the gut is actually able to like understand things. Yeah, exactly.
And the heart sends more information to the brain than the other way around. There's a hilarious story about this where this group of neuroscientists went to study some Tibetan monks, and so they went all the way up to this secluded mountain where there's like, these monks meditating in a monastery, and then the neuroscientist Rajiv visits and he pulls out this electroencephalograph, this EEG cap, like an octopus, to measure the brain waves. And when he puts it on his head, all the monks start laughing at him. And he thought it was because he looked funny in this thing. And then he said, "Why are you guys laughing?" And they said, "Well, when we meditate, we don't feel it here, we feel it here. So why are you measuring the head?"
So it's a kind of a very big subject, the brain and the mind. But there is one sutta where the Buddha does say, Nityananda. In the sutta, there is a sutta where the Buddha says that you cannot say the brain is in the body. You cannot say it is outside the body. You cannot say it is the mind. Sorry, mind is not inside the body or outside the body. Neither inside nor outside, or both inside and outside. So no argument can be given over the mind. So that is kind of something the Buddha kind of clarifies.
But can it be said that at least the mind is where the body is? At least that comes from the same.
No, then body and mind is the same. No, then you are saying that the mind is body, body is mind.
But can we say that mind and body are attached together?
Mind and body work together because we are mentality, materiality. So nama rupa. So we are both the things are in unison. It works, but you cannot kind of say that one is can be located. Means the mind can be kind of any definite things about mind can be said. So that is what maybe it is a topic because certain topics Buddha does not want to discuss because it does not help us in progressing. So that is the reason I think Buddha avoids certain topics. And
his mind is four components as given. The consciousness.
Oh, that body has everything.
huh?
That body has that body
Dead body.
have everything.
They have everything, yes. They have also the brain also is there in the dead body. So this is very nice question. Please share how Bhante Vimalaramsi discovered the TWIM method. So Bhante Vimalaramsi has done 20 years of meditation, okay, at this point of time. I think it was 12 years of meditation, okay. And he has done a lot of 3-month retreats. He has done 8-month retreat. He has done a 2-year retreat. I think he said 12 3-month retreats. One 8-month retreat and one 2-year retreat. In 10 days, in the 9th day, everybody was running for their mobile phone. This Bhante had a retreat for 2 years, okay? And this 2-year retreat, there were certain times he also slept for only 2 hours. And for the continuous all the retreat, they were advised to sleep only for 4 hours. So they used to follow the midnight standard of the Buddha, where they sleep at midnight and get up at 4. So he has done a lot of retreats, and then after the 2-year retreat, they kind of pronounced him that you know what you know. That means that whatever jnana was there possible, he had attained those jnana. That is what the teachers declared of him and said that you become a teacher. Then Bhante thought that I'll just test myself, and he tested himself and he said that I don't think I have attained that. So he became disillusioned. Because he was disillusioned with the Burmese system, he went to Malaysia. And in Malaysia, he started teaching metta meditation. So he said that I don't want to do this, I don't want to teach the method I have been learning. I want to go and teach metta meditation. When he was teaching metta meditation, he was getting a lot of students and everything, and again he was invited to Buddhist Mahavihara, which is a very important temple it's the center of Kuala Lumpur city. It is next to the central station. So he went there and he was staying there. Then what happened was Bhikkhu Bodhi's Majjhima Nikaya was released at that time. I think 1998. So 1998 that Majjhima Nikaya was released. That was the first time he kind of thought that, okay, this is something I can get the first-hand information from the suttas, because before this he was not reading suttas. He was reading this Vishuddhi Magga, Abhidhamma, because that was the books kind of they were kind of promoting. So when he got the book of Majjhima Nikaya, which was in the language he could kind of read and understand, he kind of was very interested in knowing what are the instructions over here. So then he started reading the suttas. And then he said that when he came to Anapanasati Sutta, he was kind of surprised that there was a step of relaxation. So they say he kind of figured out that this is the step that he is saying that in breath you relax and out breath you relax. So Bhante was thinking that how come I have never heard of this in my whole life, By that time he was a monk for 12 years, but had been meditating maybe 25 years or something like that. He started early, and he was also attendant to many monks and everything. So now he was kind of thinking, what is this relaxed step? What is this relaxed step? How is that possible that I have not? So one day he was actually invited to Buddhist Mahavihara to give a talk. They had a talk on Friday, if I remember. I don't remember the date, but I think it was a Friday night. They had a talk, Dhamma talk. So there the chief abbot used to give 1 week, and Bhante used to give the other week, because he was getting old. So then the chief abbot said that you give 1 week. So he had just finished his talk, okay, and he had his tension in his mind, and he was dealing with this tension and pain for a long time. So then from the Dhamma hall he was walking to his kuti, or where they had accommodated him. While walking there, he was thinking, how do you do this? He had tension in the mind, and then he said, relax, just relax. Then he relaxed, and then there was kind of an opening that, oh, there is nothing now. Immediately there was a realization of relief over there. Then he said, oh, there is something over there. Then he went to his kuti and started meditating in that way. He was relaxing. Whenever tension is coming, he is relaxing. Then he said, I have to investigate more. Then he went to the chief abbot and said, I want to do more meditation. So he said, okay, go to Thailand. Okay, Thailand, there is a place where there are a lot of cave dwellings where monks stay. So he went to one of those caves and then started reading the sutta and practicing. Then he was reading the whole Majjhima Nikaya, and then he was practicing the whole time. And then he kind of went for, I think he gave a request for 1 week, but I think he spent a month over there. Then somebody came to call him back. Then he went back to the Buddhist Mahavihara. But in this time period, he had practiced a lot and read a lot in the Majjhima Nikaya, and that is the reason Majjhima Nikaya he kind of uses mainly for the suttas, okay, and the instructions. He uses this Majjhima Nikaya a lot. And after he came, then he changed his style of teaching. So then he incorporated this relaxed step in the teaching of the metta, and slowly he was kind of teaching them. And one of the students came to him and said that you are doing this 5 hours. So this is some student came and told him about the naming of this, that what you are teaching is this. These are the 5 R's are there. So this is recognize, release, relax, re-smile and return. And Bhante gave one more step, was repeat only when needed. So because you are doing over and over, then that also kind of becomes a hindrance. So only repeat when it is needed. That's the reason it is 6 hours. So the whole method of 6 hours also, Bhante does not take credit for it. And for the method of relaxation also, Bhante does not take credit for it. But Bhante recognized that this is there, and then practiced it, refined it, and experimented with it, and then got it into this fine state which we are kind of experiences. So it took a lot of time for them to kind of refine what are the things which are there, this 10-day structure, how this 10-day structure came and everything. They also tried many different structures, weekend retreats, 7-day retreats. But Bhante says that the mind takes some time to settle down. That's the reason the 10 days kind of he kind of likes. And then the whole time when we join the retreat, when we end the retreat, everything was kind of slowly with experience and with experimentation, this was done. So this technique, whatever we are learning, has actually come from the suttas. And then while experimenting and doing this, he wrote the book Tranquil Wisdom, because he translated the samatha as tranquil wisdom and vipassana as insight. Tranquil wisdom, insight, and M is for meditation. That is the reason it is TWIM meditation. So this Anapanasati book, this was based on Anapanasati initially. Then when he kind of wrote this book and somebody kind of started publishing it, and it was sent to Taiwan, somebody sent, he did not send it, but somebody just sent this book to Taiwan, and they kind of started reprinting the book. Now this book you will find in most of the Buddhist monasteries, wherever I have gone. Once I was in Himachal, and I had a car accident. We had a car accident. We were 4 friends, and we had a car accident. And we needed some place to kind of, I was the one who was injured a lot, and we needed a place to kind of stay for a few days. We were short of budget, and somebody told us there is a monastery. There was a lady from Poland visiting this place, and she said that there is a monastery. You can come over here. We will accommodate for you for 3-4 days. Just to rest. So I went there, and somebody kind of gave us that book. And that time I had no idea of meditation, nothing. I just took that book and just brought it, and it was there at my home. Then I once went to Navayana in Sri Lanka. It is a forest monastery. It is also a very remote place. There also, when I said that Bhante Vimal Ramsi is my teacher, he said, yes, we have the Anapanasati book on that. Then once Wikipedia, I kind of wanted to update Bhante's page. So I put in a lot of information, but they need every citation and everything. So I started searching in the research this thing. There are many research papers which have cited his book. We were not aware that this book has gone, and then Sister Kema also said that they kind of investigated on their own before me. And they found out that this has been reprinted a lot of time, because his name was U. Vimala Ramsi. on the this thing book, because I think they pronounce Vimalaramsi. So that because they thought that it must be a Burmese monk. So that is how kind of this kind of started. Then when he started doing it with metta, then he found out that this is more effective and it is much more faster, because the feeling of metta is something everybody likes. Then he kind of figured out that this is going to karuna, mudita and upekha also. And then there are kind of sutta references also where it kind of mentions this. In the 43 also it was mentioned that metta, karuna, upekha was mentioned over there. So in this way he has come up with this whole meditation.
He also used to say that people can get into jhana 7 times faster with the Brahma-viharas, the retreats he was running.
So he came to kind of shift from anapana to this thing. And then in the later days, I think he used to say that if somebody comes and says that I want anapanasati, you should say, no, just stick to this, it is much faster.
What is his name?
I am not sure. Huh?
Mr. Clean,
Vimala is like a stain, Ramsi is like folds.
The abbot where I am staying in Sri Lanka, his name is also Vimala. So it's a coincidence. Boredom as a hindrance. Boredom as a hindrance means that, see, that is also a kind of reaction which you get from what is happening. So whenever there is a contact, there is a feeling. There is a feeling, there is a perception. Perception has history in it. So whenever that kind of feeling comes up, you have a habitual tendency of getting bored. So that is also a part of the dependent origination only. That is the part of how your mind is working. And that is also part of a way we understand the attachment which we have. For excitement. We say we have attachment for excitement. That is the reason we get bored when there is no excitement. If we are not used to being still. So if there is everything is still, then our attachment is to go to the opposite direction. Opposite direction is what? Boredom. So I am bored. I want something to happen. I am used to doing something. You're all the time thinking. Or doing something, distracting yourself. You don't know you're thinking because you're distracting yourself. You watch a movie, then the movie is over, what will you do? We'll just chit chat, and then say, okay, we'll go for a walk. Then they go for a walk. Then they say, oh, what will we do? We'll have ice cream. So they go for ice cream. They come back and, oh, what are we doing? We are very tired, we'll sleep. So that day is over. Then we have not paid attention to the mind, nothing. So then the next day starts, brush teeth, this, do that, make breakfast, go to office, this, then. Everything is happening one after another. Nobody is paying attention to what your mind is doing. Over here, when we are given a task to look at the mind, then what happens is first a lot of hindrances come and all these things. And then you are say, okay, I know something is there and I have to kind of do something. Something over here is there and something I have to do over here. Something comes, that is hindrance. What I do, 6R. Okay, 6R hindrance, 6R. I know I'm dancing with this. Okay, I am doing at least something. I am doing wholesome. I am not doing unwholesome. I am doing wholesome something. But so at one point that also goes. Then you say, what is this? I don't want this, I have to do something. And this can be a big hindrance, it is not a laughing matter. One of the senior students of Bhante was sitting for 1 hour, she was getting bored and getting up and going and doing something or the other. Then Bhante kind of put his foot down and said, no, you have to sit for at least 3 hours. And she was so good at her meditation that when she sat, she would just directly go to nothingness, quiet mind. She would just directly sit in quiet mind. And for 1 hour, her mind would not move. But she was a busy person. She was also from a corporate this thing. She was also doing a lot of things. So she was saying, oh, I have much to do. So she would go, and then it was third year or something like that, Bhante kind of got angry with her and said, no, you are not give responsibilities to somebody else, sit for 3 hours. When she sat for 3 hours, the first time she got a cessation experience. And she kind of progressed a lot. So in that sense, boredom can be a kind of hindrance. Interest can be a hindrance also. What is there? Curiosity. The other part of boredom is that somebody may be very curious. What is happening? What is happening? How did this happen? What did this happen? We are paying we are not paying attention to any signs. But if you are paying attention to all signs, you can think what is going to happen. Their mind is going to be busy. One of the Bhante students used to come for 1 month every year to him, and I think it took 7 years to realize that he should stop investigating. And then he kind of progressed.
So intellectual curiosity.
Intellectual curiosity, to see what is happening, something like that. So these are all hindrances, and hindrances are a way of knowing your attachments. So then with this hindrance of boredom, you know where your attachments are there, and then you let go of your attachment. Don't treat any of your hindrances as your enemy. Don't fight with it. But treat it as a friend, because they are coming with some information with you. What is the information? Where are your attachments? When you know the attachments, you let go of the attachments. And when you let go of attachments, then you are free from, if you let go of all attachments, you are free from everything. Then you can progress. So about determining the time to sit in cessation. In the suttas, how was that described? That we discussed in 43. Did the Anagami and Arahant say, I will stay in cessation for 35 minutes? How did they measure time? 2,600 years ago. There was measurement of time. So there may be pahar or something like that. We know sato pahar or something like that was a term. Chahar pahar, so something like that. So they were measurement of time, and they were able to kind of measure, and they were more sophisticated than we think. 2,500 years, our imagination is that they were kind of in caves or something like that. But that was not the case. The description of the skilled workmen, they say, is there is a list of skilled workmen there. There's an archery who is doing archery. They are making bullock carts. They are making wheels. They are making 7-story kind of buildings, and they are making rugs which are kind of very exquisite rugs. They are making high-end luxurious beds. They have armies, and they have elephant armies, and horse armies, and foot armies, and archery armies, and all those things is mentioned in Sutta.
The Ajanta Ellora caves made at that time, we cannot even think of making such caves today.
That was also about 1,000 years after the Buddha, 1,000 or 1,200 years after the Buddha. But just at the time of Buddha itself, it was a lot of thing was there. And it is kind of recorded, and suttas are kind of a very good way of recording the time period. So how kings used to give gifts and everything, how people used to travel. So a lot of information is there in the suttas. So I think I will stay in cessation for 35 minutes. I think it would be more like I will stay in cessation no longer than 30 minutes. Something like that statement they would make. If there is no consciousness, what keeps touch of the time? So this is something, it is said that prior determination, there is a prior determination which you are making the mind learn. So you are giving the mind instructions, you are kind of making the mind learn how to behave. So that is what is mentioned in 43. How to teach this technique to the kids? I think it is patience. You should have patience. I don't have patience with kids. In Sri Lanka, Sister Kema used to take a class of kids, okay? And she used to teach them about the metta meditation, how to do forgiveness, how to send metta to their parents, and how to kind of deal with them. So she was kind of busy with something, so I went to attend the class. So I was kind of unable to first manage them. They were kind of from a very elite school. They were all rich kids, and they were in an English international school. The kids were there. So it was difficult for me to manage. But I kind of spoke to them, and then the assignment was to give us what she had given some homework, and I had to kind of get their answers or something like that. So it was an easy task I had. So I just asked them, what did you do? So he said, I sent a metta to my this thing, and it was feeling very good to my parents and all those things. And then one said that I forgive my friend who had kind of been mean to him. And they're small kids, 7, 8 maximum. And he was being mean to me. Then he came to, I did not do anything, but he came to kind of meet me, and he was very happy, and then we kind of started playing. So something like that, that forgiveness he's doing, but the other person kind of feels that forgiveness, and he comes to him, and they start playing once again. And all this, I could see that we can kind of teach the kids, but we should have patience and a way of kind of explaining them this thing. So 7, 8-year-old also, and I think the youngest arahants were 7 years old. So if the kid is more than 7 years old, I think you can teach them this thing. And there are many Sotapannas also 7-year-old. There was a lady, a small kid, a girl was there 7 years old who was a Sotapanna, but she had a bad, I think, karmic something. So she was killed by his ironsmith father. He was kind of doing this thing, and she came to call him for lunch, and she got in the way of the hammer, and she passed her. So there is a lot of mention of 7-year-olds who have attained awakening. There's a Sotapanna was there. There was one 7-year-old arahant also, which was mentioned. And there was one who was arahant by 7 years, but he was, I think, in teens. He was teenager, where the Buddha asks one big monk who has many monasteries in his name, that he is just a book learner. He just taunts him that he is a book learner. So then that big monk goes to this teenager and says, teach me, because nobody else will kind of take him as a student, because so you are a big monk, you have so many monasteries, how can I be teaching you? But this was a arahant, and he was a teenager, and he said, okay, I will teach you. And then he kind of teaches him, and he attains awakening. So in this case, kids can kind of know, young people can kind of learn these things. That is not impossible.
Even Maharahulovada became Sotapanna very young age.
7. Yeah, Maharahulovada, yeah.
There's a pretty funny story where an older monk was trying to learn from an arhat 7-year-old, and he wasn't following directions because, the 7-year-old doesn't have a lot of authority in his house. It's just a kid. And then the kid said, okay, I'm not going to teach you. And then monk said, okay, no, I'll do what you say. I'm ready to learn. And the 7-year-old said, okay, go jump in the stream. So the monk went and just went in the water, got all wet, came back, and he said, all right, go. What I learned from that. And he said, okay, now I know you're serious. Now
Yeah, that is successful. If we give away lust, greed, how will we progress in a material life, which help us to come at such retreats? So that is a kind of a thing that material life is enhanced by good Shila. And by how do you keep good Shila? By not having greed and delusion. So if you have greed, you will kind of rob somebody if there is an opportunity. If you have greed, you may kind of out of this thing, if you have, say, lust is there or something, hatred is there, then you can kill somebody if you don't like that person. So the lust, hate and delusion are the things which kind of make you break precepts. If you are breaking precepts, then you cannot have prosperity. So by keeping precepts, you can actually have prosperity. And one of the things Buddha says is that if a monk is living a life of a good sila and he has a good practice, then he will get what he wants easily. So one of the praises of a monk is that he gets what he wants in an easy manner. So that is also a benefit of kind of doing those, getting rid of this lust, greed and hatred. So lust, greed, hatred is all, and delusion, all are things which kind of cloud your mind and you do wrong things. And that is the reason you should let go of that. How we should handle when beggars approach us on signal in traffic? It is up to you, because but by giving the Buddha, there is one other sutta, I should have read that sutta also. Buddha shows each level of people and how much return you get. So even if you give to an animal, that is 100 times return you get. And then if you give to any human being, even if he is unlearned and he is a normal human being, he will get 1,000 times return. If you give to a person who is kind of keeping good sila, like a ascetic, but he is not a Buddhist ascetic, he has no kind of powers or anything, but he keeps a good life, he is an ascetic, that is 100,000 times you get the return. Then if there is this ascetic has jhana practice, one-pointed jhana, not Buddha's jhanas practice, one-pointed jhana, even he has jhanic this thing, 100,000 times into 100,000 times you get returns. And then if it is a person who is following Buddha's this thing, then there is one other thing. And then if it is a Arya, okay, if you give to an Arya, there is means uncountable level, amount of return you get. In the same way, if you consider all Aryas, it is increasing manner. If then you consider a Pacceka Buddha, that is more. Then Samma Sambuddha, if you give, then that is more. And then more than all this is to giving to a Sangha. Even giving to a living Buddha, you get more to a Sangha. And that Sangha can be any type of Sangha. If you give with a good heart to anybody and make in the heart that this I am giving to the Sangha, you will get the returns of the Sangha. And this is considered uncountable in the way that there is a lake and there is a bigger lake, or there is a sea and then there is an ocean. So in that way, uncountable is also in a bigger, there can be more uncountable and less uncountable. That is kind of a... So one sutta it shows about the giving to a Pacceka Buddha. So you can kind of gauge how much return you can get. So there is a merchant who has or a contractor who has some laborers who is working for them, and he has food for those laborers in pots. And he says a monk come, and he's a Pacceka Buddha. So he just as an ascetic he gives okay, come over here and I'll give you food. After giving food he thinks, oh, I should have kept the extra food for my workers. And then he kind of forgets about it, and when he passes away and he is reborn as the wealthiest person in the kingdom. But when he dies, that time he does not have any sons. So all this wealth of his goes back to the kingdom. So he cannot pass it on to his sons. Then this happens for 12 times. And the 12th time when this happened, the king Bimbisara, I think so, was coming in the afternoon. So Buddha kind of says, why, and he comes to meet the Buddha and he says, why in the afternoon we are going? So he explains that my country's richest man has died and he did not have any sons. So I went there to take his property. And they say that in the commentary they say when the king takes the property, the wife is given the status of a royal subject and given food and protection till her death. so that they give that in return. So they take this property away. So Buddha, then he says that why does this happen to a person, that he earns so much and he can kind of does not have sons to pass it on. Then Buddha says that this happened to a Pacheka Buddha. He gave a food for once. So he was reborn 12 times as the richest person, but each time he had to give away the property because he had after that he had a mind of saying that I should have taken back. So he had a mind of taking it back. So he got also, and then that was taken back from him also. So that is how your mind, that is the first sutta, is very important, where you have to have a mind which is pure. But to have a mind which is pure, you should know what is a mind of unwholesome and wholesome. To know mind of unwholesome, you have to use the 6 R's properly. So it again comes back to 6 R's, doing the right effort. Yes?
So know this fact, that the reward, this will change the intention of my mind. But for an average mind.
Yeah.
So is it bad in a sense?
No, you should have the highest intention. No, so if you everything starts because of ignorance. Because of ignorance, one has a desire to kind of have a limited mind, and one can have a broader mind just by knowing that ignorance goes. That is the reason Buddha is there, no, to dispel ignorance. So by giving this talk, he is kind of dispelling the ignorance about dana also. So in this way, the dana practice works. I think we have to finish this because we have to do your feedback session now. Okay? Thank you. Metta Dhamma. Thank you, Metta Dhammo, for daily guided meditation. This is for you. You can take it and treasure it. Thank you, Bhante Ananda, for guidance and the enlightened talk, Upanishad Sutta. So this is for you. And thank you, Bhante Dhammagavesi, motivate us daily for the guidance. Thank you for your patience. It was a wonderful learning. We'll keep practicing. Yes, you have to keep practicing. That is the thing. That is how you kind of repay your teachers, is by keeping practice going on. Okay? So, is there any last questions?
Just to clarify, when someone is giving dhan, even if it is not to the bhikkhu sangha, even if it is to a beggar, but in their mind they think that this dhan is...
No. Say the way it is explained is that if a person identifies himself as a bhikkhu, he may be in after say thousands of years, there may be people who may be working in the fields wear this color scarf and say I am a bhikkhu. But if that person is given with the mind of giving to the bhikkhu sangha, then he gets the same rewards. And the rewards has 3 kind of criteria: the giver, the taker. How it is given, how is it taken? So there's 3 ways. That is one, but in the mindset, there are 3 categories of mindset. One is the giver and the taker do it in a proper manner. So there is merit is there. The giver gives it in a proper manner, but the taker does not take it in a proper manner. Okay? So that way what happens is the giver gets the benefit of this, but the taker has the loss of this. But if it is a giver does not give it a proper manner, but the taker takes it in a proper manner, then also the giver gets the benefit. So only way there is no merit is when the giver does not understand the giving. So he says, I am giving, but there is no result of giving good things, doing good things, and there is no bad result for. So if he has this mindset, there is no karma, there is nothing I can gain. So and then he gives, then he does not gain anything. So that is the 3rd category, he does not gain anything, even if given. The 4th category is a very special category. If an arahant gives a gift to an arahant, there is no merit. There is no merit created. So that is the 4th category, special category. Yes.
Which are the categories? कुछ दिन बाद इसमें बिजी हो गए, कुछ हो गया, फिर हमको ये आगे की विचार मतलब फिर से आपका जो भी था उस वैसे लाइन में रहेगा।
तो हम लोग है ना इसको YouTube में भी डालते हैं टॉक्स को, और इससे पहले हमारे जो बनते विमल रमसी के टॉक्स है वो भी है YouTube पे, तो वो सुन सकते हैं। फिर हमारे जो बनते विमल रमसी के बुक है वो है, और उसके बाद में बेल्सन का बुक है। फिर अभी भी एक बुक हम देंगे, माइंड विदाउट क्रेविंग, दैट इज अ बुक, सो वो भी आपको दिया जाएगा अभी। सो वो भी आप कर सकते हैं, तो उसको आप पढ़ के आपको फिर से रिचार्ज कर सकते हैं अपने माइंड को। तो कोर्स भी हम लोग करेंगे, देखेंगे कि किस तरह से हम कोर्स पढ़ा सकते हैं। होगा तो हम करेंगे, जितना हम हो सकेंगे उतना करेंगे, क्योंकि हमारे पास टीचर भी काम है यहाँ पे, जो मगर हम हिंदी में भी कर सकते हैं। हम टीचर को हम यहाँ पे ट्रेनिंग देंगे और टीचर रखेंगे, तो और जगह पे कोर्स कर सकते हैं। सो बहुत मीन्स रेगुलर में कर सकते हैं, हर महीने एक कोर्स कर सकते हैं, उस तरह से कर सकते हैं। और हमें टीचरों को तैयार करना है, तो हम लोग वो सब कर रहे हैं, तो हम करेंगे। और हमारा जो कोर्स का जो है बहुत लोगों को अगर करना है तो फिर वो हम उसके हिसाब से चेंज करेंगे। यस।
So when it comes to the belief, okay, and so if you do that belief of getting back to now,
Yes.
I think one will giving it.
No, but Buddha says that is also not a bad kind of thing. He does not say that it's harmful or anything. But he says even if you have a wish to get something, you get a place in the heavens. So that is, if you are giving, the act of giving is very important, because without this act of giving, the Bhikkhu Sangha cannot survive. So, and because of this, because Sangha is surviving, then the texts survive and the teaching survive. So the 2600 years of the survival of this text and we sitting over here is because of dana. That is the main factor because of which we have been able to come over here, and somebody has given dana somewhere which paid for the tickets or something like that, you know. And so that is the way it kind of continues.
Greed for punya is not necessarily wrong.
Not necessarily wrong, but it is a limited, then when you know that you can use it as a kind of a development of mind. So develop your mind into kind of in-person perspective by giving, and it's like a renunciation, you know. It's almost like a renunciation. You are renunciating this thing, and by doing that you are kind of gaining a clarity of mind. You are gaining a kind of a mind which is more balanced, and by that you are kind of gaining the merits which will be kind of can take you to the Brahma lokas also. And by that, after going there, you purify your mind more, and then you have can end the cycle of samsara.
You can't have enough merit, so if you get greedy, it's just like reducing your stack. It's like
Greedy-
you need more to have more because you need more because you need to be on the path.
So-
to have better conditions. It's not just about like. Like I give that sort of like this. It's also.
So that is the first stage, no? That is what the transactional stage was there. There is this transaction stage. That is the reason the result is limited. If there is a transactional way of doing it, then the result is. But if it is given with a heart and mind which is purified, then it has a different result.
In India, unfortunately, there are so many businessmen. They make the gods as the partners in the business. Maybe one more than 1/3 of the share goes to the god. Maybe to the Balaji.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, I have met that person in clinic. He was traveling to the investigation. The person said, I said very humbly, I'm going to preach to the god. Go every year. No, I go every year for 1/3 of the share I can give to Balaji. He is one of the parties.
I know a person, I think there is one Pune-based chicken meat company, Venky's. They have made a duplicate in near Pune of Tirupati. I visited that when I was a lay person.
He also thinks that I'm when the Balaji is my partner. That's why he stayed that name
Venky, okay.
तो मुझे सिर्फ पूछना था कि दान करना नहीं है, ये जरूरतमंद को ही करना है या जो भी कॉमन पीपल आता है तो करना है, जैसा भी अन्नदान होता है तो अन्नदान हम कर रहे हैं तो फिर अभी हम ये देखेंगे कि गरीब आकर कुछ खा रहा है या कुछ इसकी कैपेसिटी होते हुए भी आके खा रहा है, लेकिन बाद में ऐसे कहा चाहते हैं कि तुम ये गलत कर रहे हो, आप गरीब के वहां जाके खिलाना चाहिए, तो पूरा इसके बारे में
नहीं, ऐसा तो किसी को भी दे सकते हैं, ऐसा कुछ डिस्टिंक्शन दिया नहीं है कि आप इसको देंगे तो ही होगा, गरीब को ही देंगे तो ही आपको फायदा होगा, या ऐसा कुछ अलग से। हाँ,
देते हैं तो जो भी आया चला वो अपनी खाती जाएगा।
जैसे अनाथ पिंडिका है, उन्होंने वो अन्नदान करते थे तो वहाँ पे कोई ऐसा नहीं था कि कौन आ सकता है कौन नहीं आ सकता है, ऐसा कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं था, कोई भी आके वहाँ पे खा सकता है। तो वो वैसा वो अन्नदान का सिस्टम वो लोगों ने रखा था पहले से, उस तरह से।
But Bhadreji, can we say कि अगर हम गरीब को दान करते हो that will be more effective?
अभी वो उस तरह से नहीं बताया गया है, सुत्ता के अंदर बताया गया कि अगर आप कोई सामान्य व्यक्ति को करते हैं तो आपको इतना होता है, वो गरीब भी हो सकता है, वो श्रीमंत को भी अगर आप कुछ देते हैं तो उसका भी आपको पुण्य मिलता है। मगर अगर आपने किसी ऐसे को दिया जो अपने मन को शुद्धि करने के लिए पथ में है, अगर वो बुद्ध का भी नहीं है पथ में, तो भी उनको बोला गया कि उनको लाख गुना उनको मिलता है, इंटू 1 लाख इंटू 1 लाख। सो ऐसा करके आप वो सो ये कर सकते हैं।
जैसे हम किसी को पैसा दे रहे हैं तो यदि मिसयूज करेंगे वो पाप भी हमको लगेगा।
नहीं, वो आपका कर्म आपका है, फिर वो जो कर्म करता है उसका वो उसका कर्म है।
लेकिन उनका किया हुआ पुण्य, तो जैसे किसी ने जो चित्त शुद्धि में लगे हुए हैं,
हाँ,
और वो चित्त शुद्धि का काम करते, हमने उनको अगर दान दिया तो उनका अर्थ पुण्य में हम भागीदार हैं।
वो सिर्फ भिक्षु संघ के लिए, भिक्षु संघ के लिए, उससे बोलते हैं कि हम जब दान लेते हैं वो आपका ऋण है, और वो ऋण कैसे चुकाते हैं, एक भिक्षु निब्बाना की तरफ पहुंच के, तभी वो अपने जो ये आपने जो उनको दान दिए हैं उसका चुकतान करते हैं। जब वो खुद ही अपना निब्बान तक पहुंचते हैं तब वो उसको चुकाते हैं।
अभी जो कार्य होने के जो दान करते हैं तो दान का मिसयूज हो जाता है, मिसयूज कर देते हैं कि भी उसका रिटर्न्स कर चुका है ना। ऐसा छोटा सा एग्जांपल में दूंगा, मैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस में काम करता था, तो जो दीदी लोग होते हैं जो गवर्नमेंट होते हैं उनके घर पे छत नहीं होता है, तो उनके लिए हमने स्कीम बनाया था काफी। तो ऊपर जो होते हैं ना टीम जो होता है, उनको एक सेट दे देते हैं टीम का, ताकि उनको कम से कम बारिश और इससे उनको थोड़ा सा राहत मिले। और काफी बड़ा मैंने स्कीम प्रोजेक्ट बनाया था। बाद में मुझे बहुत गिल्ट फील ऐसा हुआ कि मैंने क्यों ये बनाया स्कीम। कैसा होगा सर, जैसा मैंने वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चालू किया है, बाद में उधर वो परचेस करने वाला जो जिसने जो टीम बेचा था वो तैयार था देने के लिए। यहाँ पे मैं सेट दे रहा हूँ, उधर वो पैसे दे रहे हैं ले रहे हैं, तो कभी क्या होता है, तो ये अपनी को भावना अच्छी थी कि हमने उसको कुछ सहारा मिला, लेकिन अगले वाले तो उसका पूरा मिसयूज किया।
तो आप जब दान देते हैं उसके बाद में भी आपका उसके अंदर है ना चिपकाव है ना, उसके अंदर आपको जब दान देते हैं तो उसके अंदर चिपकाव नहीं रखना चाहिए। आपने दान दिया उस तरह से आप थोड़ा सोच समझ के दान दे सकते हैं, ओके, कि किस तरह से इसका दुरुपयोग ना हुआ। मगर एक बार दान दे दिया तो फिर आपको उसके बारे में उसके नहीं करना चाहिए, फिक्र नहीं करना चाहिए। अगर उन लोगों ने गलत किया तो उनको उसका जो कर्म है उसके हिसाब से उनको मिलेगा।
और दान देते से अगर हम ये जाने की तो संसार है, यहाँ पर कोई भी तरह का हम जो सोच के दे रहे हैं वैसा 100% नहीं होने वाला।
वही है, अनित्य है सारा
लोक
चीज।
धर्म हर चीज में अप्लाई होना ही वाला है, तो हमारी डिसअपॉइंटमेंट जो है वो नहीं होगी। आप जानते हैं कि कुछ परसेंटेज तो इसमें लीक होने वाला है।
तो अभी हम इसको एंड करते हैं, क्योंकि क्या है कि हमें अभी आप लोगों से फीडबैक लेना है। तो हम आपको 3 सवाल पूछेंगे। एक है आपका नाम क्या है और कहाँ से आए हैं आप, ओके। और दूसरा है कि आपने ये 10 दिन में जो आपने क्या अनुभव किया है, ओके। और अपना तीसरा सवाल यह है कि अगर आपको किसी को बुलाना है ये शिविर में, तो क्या शब्दों से आप बोलेंगे कि आप यहाँ पे आइए। सो देयर आर 3 क्वेश्चंस वी विल आस्क यू, ओके। वन इज वेयर योर नेम एंड वेयर यू आर फ्रॉम। Second question is what experience you had in this 10 days. The third question is, if you had to invite somebody to this retreat, what are the words you would use? Like this retreat is good for your mind, or this retreat is good for kind of giving the Buddha's teaching. What is the word, in your words, you tell us? How would you invite somebody for this retreat?
The second question is, how was your experience?
How was your experience? 10 days, how was your experience of this 10 days retreat? Okay, very simple. Okay, then we will just share the merit now and then. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu.